What is up, guys? Fatal82 coming at you with a first look at the new ammo types in Rust. So we're going to go ahead and get right into it, guys. There's a lot of stuff to cover. Right off the bat, a new arrow has been added into the game. It's lighter, faster, does less damage, but goes for a much longer distance. It's an HV or a high velocity arrow. And while we're on the topic of arrows, be aware they do stick in players right now. Pretty cool, so your guy will look like a pincushion. In doing some testing, though, we actually found that the arrows act as a bit of a barrier and armor, if you will. You'll notice my guy here, who is stuck full of arrows, is actually not taking shots. Incendiary rounds and normal rounds are bouncing off him, and the arrows are acting as a protective barrier. I'm sure this will be fixed in the future, but this is currently something that's going on right now, and you guys want to be aware of it. There's two new types of 5.56 rounds. One is an explosive round. It explodes on contact. It does a small amount of fragmentation damage to nearby objects and players. So be aware that that round is going to affect your teammates as well. So if you get a group of people rolling up, be judicious about how you're going to use that round. In addition, there's an incendiary 5.56 round, which is a slower moving type of ammo that does fire damage and has a small chance to start a fire. That could affect your teammates as well. In addition, guys, the pistol got some love too. It now has the incendiary bullet that you can use in your SMGs as well as your revolver, but it does not have the explosive round. The shotgun's got some love as well. There's now a 12 gauge slug, which is a much more accurate type of round that's going to go exactly where you want it to go, as opposed to the blast radius you got with the buckshot. In addition, guys, the rocket launchers have a new type of ammo that's incendiary as well. It creates flames upon impact that do spread, and we're going to go ahead and do some tests and test this stuff out. All right, guys, and we're going to start off with taking a look at the shotgun. We're going to compare the buckshot to the slug round. So we all know how the buckshot works. It breaks down in individual pellets and has a blast radius. We'll go ahead and fire that off for good measure, and we'll notice that it's the normal buckshot that we've all known and we've all loved. Let's go ahead and switch over in contrast to the slug and go ahead and load that up, and you'll notice a difference with that. The slug, guys, is going to be much more accurate. So you'll notice it's going exactly where we want to put it. You can drive nails with the slug. It's very accurate. It does go for a longer distance than the buckshot. It's not as good for crowd control, so you want to be aware of that. We did some tests on damage, guys, and the slug is a substantially lower damage than the buckshot, so be aware of that. It appears to do about 10 to 13 less damage than the buckshot from what we could tell. And what you're seeing here is some tests we were doing with the slug round for the shotgun. It was not very effective for PvP, guys. It's pretty good at shooting animals across the landscape, but it doesn't seem to have much of an application for PvP at this point, and I don't really recommend investing too much into it. 68. We're going to take a look at the incendiary pistol ammo. It does less damage than a normal pistol round or an HV round, but it has a chance to catch fire in the area that you're shooting it. In terms of the fire that it creates, each patch of fire is the equivalent to the damage that would be taken by standing on one campfire. If more than one piece of fire is created, that damage does multiply. The fire does not spread on its own, so that's something that you want to be aware of. Let's go ahead and fire off a mag and see what it does. And you'll notice, guys, that it created 3 patches of fire. It does vary every time, so it could have been 1, it could have been 2, it could have been 4. In this case, it was 3, though. And this is best used for players who are in a particular location and you're looking to smoke them out of that location. Be aware, guys, this is going to affect your teammates as well. So if you're creating fire, they're going to take damage from that as well. The fire does not last too long with this particular type of ammo, but it's effective nonetheless. We're going to take a look at the explosive 5.56 rounds. They do explode on contact, they do frag damage to nearby players and objects, and there's a bit of a blast radius to it. From testing, guys, it does moderate damage to the initial player that it hits, and then lesser damage to surrounding players and objects. Let's go ahead and take a look at it. It's a bit hard to tell, guys, and it's really going to be best used in a situation where there's a large crowd of people. But be aware when you're using this round, your teammates will be affected by it as well. So when you're firing this off, your teammates, if they're within that blast radius, are going to be affected. We're going to take a look at what everybody's waiting for. It's the Incendiary Rocket. The fire patches that it creates are the equivalent to 2 campfires from the testing that we've done. It does not do a lot of impact damage, guys, so you can actually hit a player just about dead on with a rocket and it does not kill them.
50 damage. So
But what this is going to be used for doing is smoking players out of locations when you're raiding a base. And be aware, guys, that the fires that it creates will actually destroy bodies, gear as well. So it will have impact damage where it goes. If you are taken down by this type of rocket, or if it's going off while you're wounded, chances are your teammates will not have a chance to revive you. Let's go ahead and test it out. And you'll notice that this type of fire actually does spread, unlike the other rockets, the other types of ammo that we were using. This fire has the ability to spread. We'll go ahead and shoot off another rocket and take a look at that as well. Weird that if you hit a wall with this, guys, it's not going to go through the wall, but rather it's going to break apart into doing fire damage outside. So that could actually work against you if you're trying to raid a base and you're intending for it to go into the base and it doesn't quite make it through a window. It's going to actually spread to the environment outside. If you do get a chance to put it inside a base, though, we'll go ahead and take a look at it, and we'll see that once it starts spreading inside the base, for instance on the top floor, it's going to be really hard for somebody to maneuver up there. So notice it's spreading in the house, and it's really, really good stuff. Pretty awesome. Loving it. So what you're looking at here, guys, is a situation where you're probably going to be using this ammo to smoke somebody out of a location in a sniper's nest or just in a base in general. I have God mode on here just to kind of demonstrate what it looks like for a player in there with the fire going on, but this person will be dead pretty quick. The fire seems to have a bit of a cumulative effect to it, so the more fire that's going on there, it accumulates, and each new piece of fire that develops is doing more damage to the player. So that's the equivalent of a ton of campfires in there, and that player is going to burn pretty quick. It's also going to burn up their body, all their loot, and they're not going to be able to be revived by their teammates. So from looking at the new ammo, guys, what I can say is that it's primarily going to be based around disrupting groups, and it's going to be used heavily for raiding bases and making less predictable locations for people to defend from. It's really, really cool stuff. I'm excited to see it used in the wild, and I hope you guys enjoy the video. As always, Fado82, peace.
Ouch. I think there's something in my eyeball. Something in my eye.
Just a shout out to our friend Tobias from the YPB clan on Rustopia. Thanks for helping us out in the dev server and testing out the ammo, Tobias. Much appreciated, man.
You said one time.